the cars in our list can boast amazing pedigrees. They represent the very best in engineering and design. But there is one that always seems to silence the critics. It's been hailed as an engineering marvel, a legendary racer, and at the same time, a 24/7 supercar for the masses. At number 1, the Porsche 911.
I think the greatest sports car of all time probably would be the 911, really, because of its longevity.
This car has been around for 40 years in basically the same soulful package.
The Porsche 911 is probably the most worthy sports car to put at the top of the list, the greatest sports car of all time.
I guess this is where it all started. I guess the 911 came out, first production year is 64. And this car here is a 69 2-liter, short wheelbase.
Typical Porsche fires right up.
40 years ago, Steve McQueen made this car famous in the movie Le Mans. Today, his son Chad takes us and the car for a little drive down memory lane.
This car was a car that my dad used in Le Mans. In early 1970, it came out. And this was actually the car that he drove up to the church and did all that. And it's all original. I just turned 47,000 original miles on the car.
To create room for 2 small back seats, the motor was placed over the rear axle. It was completely revolutionary, but it led to a unique problem for the 911. It was known to suffer from something called oversteer.
The earlier ones were a pig. I didn't like them at all. Because again, you lose your concentration, whatever, get something wrong, hit a bit of damp bit round the corner, God forbid a bit of oil, and you are definitely going the wrong way round the corner.
The thing about the Porsche, they're tricky to drive fast, especially the vintage ones, the older ones. They're race cars. I mean, you've got a massive weight in the rear. Say you're going into a right-hand corner. You turn the car in, it's a pendulum effect. You go into a corner, and the car wants to rotate. It's the same thing as if, say, you throw a hammer. This is what I'm trying to explain. The head of the hammer is going to always want to hit the ground first because it's the heaviest. So the car does have a natural tendency to want to oversteer.
I just love the sound of this motor. Puts a smile on my face.
Since the early days, Porsche has worked extensively on controlling the car's tendency to slide.
Over the years, the wheelbase is extended. Of course, wider rims, tire setup. They would push the motor a little further in front of the axle, get a better balance.
All they've done is taken that essence of the car with the more than 50% of the weight in the back, and its beautiful, just organic shape, and made it a little better and a little better. And sometimes they tweak it a little too far. The next year they come back a little, back a little. It's just a great car.
The 911 was also the first production car to have a turbocharged engine. Recycled air from the exhaust is forced back into the cylinders under pressure, where it mixes with the fuel to create a hotter, more explosive reaction. To understand turbocharging, think of what happens to a fire when a big wind comes along. Or if you happen to be near a garage, how about a simple air hose and a gently smoldering cigar?
What we're about to do here is basically a real simple version of how a turbocharger works. What we have here is a fuel, and then we have our compressed air. So when you step on the accelerator, say this is your recycled gases, compressed, here's your fuel, and
Super hot.
that's a turbo.
Throughout its history, the 911 has been a peerless innovator. At the same time, the car never lost its original spirit.
It's just a natural evolution,
That car became successful because it deserved its success. It really did.
You just touch it and it feels quality. You close the door, it feels quality. You close the boot, it's quality. The seats are quality, the switches are quality. They're very simple inside.
And over 40 years, the idea of this strange little car, which in its classic days had a rear engine, and a very strange rear engine too, was made to behave perfectly. And so we could all watch as this car developed and got better and better over the years.
You don't lose a lineage from this car to this one. I mean, it's still so Porsche, you know. I guess that's why guys like Seinfeld have, you know, 100 of them.